and health, and the all-important work-life balance, right? That's all part of that expectation, trying to work on those issues. Diversity, not just with respect to the workforce, but also with regard to your suppliers. Making sure you've got top-level oversight to assure legal and ethical compliance. Respect for stakeholders, not just a matter of being transparent with them, but also engaging them and actually going one step farther and collaborating with them, right? And then making sure we deal fairly with our customers, understand what they expect from us, try to meet those expectations and agree to those expectations, as well as anticipating their needs, their social, environmental needs, and looking forward to them. And on the environmental side, all those things you might expect: resource conservation, preventing waste and properly managing it, making sure you're taking care of environmental risk and where you fouled up, restoring the environment, and working with your supply chain and your communities to try to reduce your overall environmental footprints. So these are some of the fundamental things that these companies said that they think they're signing up for when they raise their hands and say, I want to be a sustainable organization. It's not just about recycling and energy conservation. This is what the stakeholders are telling them. This is what those multi-stakeholder forums are saying. And so now we get to this other question. Okay, now you've given me these expectations. Now what kind of topics might this embrace? And actually, this is a good capture of it, because this reflects the consensus of two major multi-stakeholder initiatives. Hundreds of stakeholders, companies, NGOs, labor unions, governments, everybody you can imagine coming together over the course of years and years and years to help refine what those expectations are. And these are the topics they came up with. They said, first and foremost, and this is based on, again, the GRI reporting standards, as well as the ISO 26000 social responsibility standard. One fundamental difference, and I'll talk about that, but both of them say these things. Both of them identify these issues. They say governance is key. Got to have this overarching structure. Human rights, civil rights, non-discrimination, labor practices, environmental issues are key. Fair operating practices, ethics and non-corruption, not violating the antitrust laws and so forth. Consumer and customer issues, making sure you're tuned into that. Community involvement and development. And one thing that's in sustainability that is excluded from the social responsibility piece is this one: the economic viability of the organization. Both of those forums reached that consensus around those two things. Separate activities, separate groups, engaged in this whole process of trying to reach a consensus about what those expectations are. And these are the topics. And so you say, Bill, but okay, doesn't this mean that there's actually lots of different topics? And we say, yeah, look at these. We got sales and profits internally, community donations, taxes externally. Social things, you've got everything from employee wellness programs to support for community services, again, internal and external aspects, and all these things that you might do for the environment, all these different topics. And so what's the takeaway from this? You look at all this, you say, what is the general takeaway about sustainability we just discussed? What are some of the conclusions to this? Yeah, what?
Andre's idea.
Which is?
You gotta find the right fit for your organization.
You gotta do this. Yeah, I think about the movie City Slickers. Anybody see City Slickers? And Jack Palance, what did he say? The secret to life is, what did he say? The secret to life was?
I think he said you have to find it.
The secret to life is, Jack Palance says in City Slickers.
No.
He said the secret to life is one thing. He said the secret to life is one thing. You remember what that thing was? Anybody?
Didn't he just say you have to find it yourself?
He didn't say. He never said.
No.
But unlike Jack Palance and City Slickers, sustainability is not about one thing. We've just seen that sustainability is about a lot of different things, right? It's about this integration of all these issues that, maybe if there is one thing, it's well-being, but it's about the integration of all these different things. And so then people say, but what's the business case for sustainability? And so what do you say the business case is for sustainability? Again, if you're going to do what Andre says and try to, and it may mean a different collection of these things, focused on by different organizations. So what's the business case? How do you have a common business case, right?
Well, at the extreme, it's really about good management. A lot of these things is really about common sense and being a good manager and a good steward of your company, fundamentally.
Yeah, I mean, if you say, that's sometimes, that's right. I'm not disagreeing with the comment. In fact, we cite it's a management, approach. Sometimes hard to sell that, to go into your CEO and say, well, why are we doing this? Well, it's good management. He goes, yeah, right, okay. But what you can say is this, is that the business case of sustainability is really the wrong question. The real question is this: what's the business case for a process that looks at sustainability trends and issues, prioritizes among the opportunities and threats, and to select those for action that add the most value? That's Andre's point, right? We're going to look at all of this stuff that we just talked about. We're going to try to see what our needs and objectives are in our company, what our opportunities are, our threats, and we're going to pick our shots in a strategic planning, prioritization. It's going to bring the most value to society and to us, right? Help us perpetuate our organization and society. So this process is key. This is really the essence of the business. So you're saying the business case is to have a process that helps us extract the business value as well as social value from our efforts. Yeah.
So just to play the devil's advocate, I don't like this for a couple of very pragmatic reasons. And I'm just throwing it out there to be a little bit, thought-provoking. Thank you. So to a certain extent, if you look at how most organizations are managed, their time horizon is 3 months at best. If you're lucky, you might get a year, but never more. Typically what's talked about and considered are purely very tangible effects of the activities. Usually if you look at anything that's longer term or more intangible, it's never considered in the strategic planning process. And most of the strategic planning processes I've seen typically are how much profit do I have to deliver, and then how do I reverse engineer the different investments I have to get to that magic number. And so this speaks a little bit to sustainability as being something different than separate from the regular activities of the corporation. Well, in fact, I think how do you integrate sustainability in the decision-making process and consideration, and don't think of it as something that's separate and unique.
Well, you remember, if we go back to what we said before, this is a values-based management approach. And basically this is not a separate sustainability exercise. This is the business planning exercise. And this does include financial viability of the organization and all those aspects that deal with that. That's what this is really about. This is about the notion that you have to prioritize, that we've seen now what the expectations are of our stakeholders. We understand what those global stakeholders expect of us, and we can even refine that more with local stakeholder engagement. But once we understand that circle, no organization that I know of can go forward and do all of that and say, all right, we're gonna go with 1,000 things all at once. So now the question is, where do we pick our shots from a business perspective? Not just from here's a sustainability piece and here's the rest of the business. Remember, sustainability includes the financial viability of the organization, so that's part of that picture. And those things get talked about together. And you're absolutely right. Too many companies are just looking at, okay, what am I going to do for this quarter? I've got to survive, and if it means, and I'm not going to even think about the long term, and I'm not even going to think about even maybe some of these other sustainability things that I need to think about today. Remember our slide about sustainability in tough times? Some of them don't even make the connection. They just say //, I don't want to hear about anything else. I don't even talk about anything else. I just want to chop headcount and not really think about the consequences for our business too much. Just the only thing I'm after is whacking heads and reducing costs. And so what we're trying to say is this style of management is a way to introduce the thinking about these issues in a holistic and integrated way. And this whole notion of what's the business case for sustainability is really not the right question.